Do you ever think about, because there's some people out there who, when you say, oh, I'm Thai and I'm this and this, and then they'll be like, well, I was born and raised in Thailand. You're not real Thai because you didn't grow up there like I did.
Well, this is actually this is going to get into like a pretty deep conversation
because I've seen this comment not towards you, but just towards other people that have been thrown around a few times where they're like, well, I grew up there and you didn't. Mm-hmm. So you aren't part of it.
I get that a lot with Japan.
I imagine, yeah. So it's like, how do you? I mean,
well, okay. No one's ever said that to me. No one's ever said you're not Thai, and I think I would probably get offended if someone said you're not Thai. Well, because it's
just incorrect.
Yeah, exactly. Hello, if you look at my bloodline, I'm literally 100% Thai. Yeah. But it's a weird case because I didn't grow up in Thailand, no one will ever say that I'm not Thai, but it's kind of like the same thing in Japan where there's this soft boundary where you'll be treated a little bit differently, people will talk to you a bit differently, and people will view you a bit differently. Yeah. But on the opposite end of the side of things, I've always been viewed as an outsider in England as well. Right. I've never felt like, I've always felt like, okay, my parents emigrated to England. I'm a child of an immigrant, basically. I'm a first generation. But does that make me not British? No. But does that mean that I had a different kind of upbringing where I acknowledged that I had a different heritage? Yeah. And it's weird because I've met kind of like a lot of Asian Americans and they have like a totally different view than I do, right? Because like I was having a conversation with some Asian Americans and I was asking them, do you find it offensive if people ask, oh, where are you from? Because I don't find that offensive. Because when someone asks me in England, for example, oh, where are you from? I assume the context of that is, where is your heritage from? Where are your parents from? But I think in America, that's like a very much more sensitive topic and sensitive question. Because I've talked to plenty of Asian Americans that would get very offended if someone asked them where they're from.
But like, if you're, okay, maybe I shouldn't say someone. If someone's Asian, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, what's like, where in Asia are you? Is like your lineage, your bloodline, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Like that's something like an interesting conversation to have.
Yeah, and I think the nuance to that question is that because America is basically a country of immigrants, right? Yeah. It's kind of like a slightly different starting point to being an Asian British. Yes, yeah. I guess.
To be honest, I think like it's all about the nuance because it's like
how rudely you ask it.
Yeah,
where are you from?
Yeah, exactly. It's like no, because I remember there was one time in America where like this American girl asked me like, oh, where are you from?
Yeah,
and I said, oh, I'm from Australia.
Yeah,
and then she said, no, but where are you from?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
okay, so that
okay,
yeah,
okay, yeah.
I'm like, are you asking about my heritage?
Yeah.
If so, then you could have just said, what's your background?
Yeah.
No. So I think it's all about the context.
Right.
And it's like
bloodline sounds really fun.
Bloodline? What is your bloodline? That sounds badass as fuck.
That makes it sound like it's a fucking Naruto. It's fucking got a fucking Sharingan or some shit, Like I'm from the Uchiha bloodline.
all these DNA tree things are marketing it way off. Yeah. It's like you should find out your bloodline.
Yeah, what's your bloodline?
And you have like some epic narration. Do a DNA test in this vial.
We need to start normalizing that. When you want to know where someone is from, just go, what's your bloodline?
Yeah, dude, that's fucking
and immediately
awesome.
You know what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah, I go.
Yeah, no, but like, I mean, I had the exact same thing in Australia as well.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like, I'm not first generation because only half of me is. But like, I still grew up with a lot of like Japanese traditions at home.
Yeah.
So, and I don't look like your typical Australian, whatever a typical Australian looks like. So... And I don't look like your typical Japanese either. So it's like in both countries, I had this like identity crisis of like, what the fuck am I?
Yeah.
Because no one else around me knows what I am until I specifically say what I am.
Yeah.
And then that made me confused being like, oh, am I Australian or am I Japanese? Because now I know I'm just both. Like,
yeah.
That's just what I say to people.
No, same here.
But like now... but then that's why like I'm starting to get a little bit like jaded when people ask the where are you from question in like a really fucking nuanced way because it's just like I know what you're trying to ask me. Just don't beat around the bush about it. You're not going to offend me by asking what my background is.
Because I think a big difference is to these Asian Americans I've talked to. They are very much, okay, I'm a proud American.
Yes.
America is my home.
Yep.
America is my nationality. You know, and then they separate that from, okay, I'm American and this is my heritage. Whereas I think of it as I'm Thai and British, you know. It's weird. The trade-off I have for this is that I don't really have a home country, you know, because I've never felt so strongly in one camp or the other. I've actually just feel like I'm in both. But by being in both, I've never felt 100% accepted in either, but I've never felt 100% home in like either.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's impossible for you to ever feel like 100% British in a way?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, but I guess that's why I've lived in so many different countries, because I don't really have an attachment to one home country. You know, that's why that's the perception I've been given, where I find it so easy to move to a new country or a new place, because I'm like, well, I don't really have any. I feel like my heritage is here, but I don't really have any ties personally towards my feelings about this is my home country or X is my home country, because to me anywhere can be my home country.
Am I wrong in saying in America isn't it like a big thing as well for like first generation immigrant parents to also give their kids like very American sounding names?
That's I was about to say. I think it's like almost, from my understanding, it's, I don't know how common it is, but from the people around me that I know, like kids with first generation immigrant parents, I think a lot of the parents almost choose not to, I guess, feed their children their culture in America, because it's like they almost like kind of oppress their own culture towards their kids so that they can like fit, quote unquote, fit in more with America. Because like I've heard like a lot of my friends in America who are, you know, first generation Asian or whatever, like immigrant parents, a lot of them can't speak their parents' mother tongue.
It's quite normal.
It's quite normal. I feel it's quite normal in America though, and only in America for some reason.
I think it's pretty normal in the UK as well. I've known
It's normal in the UK.
I've known a lot of people in the UK who their parents made the decision to not teach. Like they didn't. It wasn't even like laziness. They like their parents made the decision to not teach their child their mother tongue just because they wanted to be able to, I guess, assimilate.
See, that's fascinating, because in Australia it's the polar opposite. Right. It's like almost every Australian I know that has immigrant parents, they can speak their mother tongue to some level of capacity, and they're proud of it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think
I don't know why.
One thing that really surprised me about Sydney in Australia is that it's so multicultural.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was this multicultural. Like when we were at Sydney Smash, I was like, there are so many Asian Australians and just, you know, a lot of Southeast Asians. And I'm like, damn, I've never seen this many Southeast Asians in another country since I was last in Southeast Asia. I was like, what the hell? What the hell, man?
Yeah. And it's like, and again, it's like fascinating that because Australia is such a multicultural country.
Yeah.
And yet for some, and you know, America is as well, I would say just as much, if not more than Australia.
Yeah.
And yet there is just this like almost polar opposite dichotomy of teaching or embracing your parents' cultures that aren't American or aren't Australian.
Would you teach your kids your second language or your first language?
That's way harder for me to answer, because it's like if I'm not in that country, it makes no sense to teach them that language. Just because of how small and very niche the language is. It's not like, hey, I can take, if it's Thai, right? Oh, hey, I can take you to Thailand. You can use it. It's like, hey, I can take you to Wales. Maybe we'll find someone one time who might be able to, you know what I mean? If we don't live in that country. Yeah. And also, if I didn't, it's my language. There's a lot of difficulties that come with a dying language. Yeah. And preserving it. Right. And when you're outside of the country where they're trying to preserve it, it becomes like 20 times more difficult to preserve the language.
It is. And it takes, especially if you want to teach your kid a language that they don't use in this country, it takes effort, because it's part, you know.
It's like, do you want to teach your kid English in Japan? Easy. Do you want to teach your kid Japanese in Australia? Very doable. Do you want to teach your kid any Asian language in London? Very doable. It's like, it depends on like where you are, and like, if I was in Japan, the odds of me being able to be like, hey, go talk to all these other Welsh kids. It's like, oh wait, there are none.
I don't, because like the reason I ask this is because I've made the decision that I'm going to teach my kid Thai as much as possible, even if they
I think that's a good idea.
Even if they never use it, because the thing is, the only person who ever spoke Thai to me growing up was my mum, and because of this, I'm not like 100% fluent in Thai, but if I really wanted to go out of my way and study it like Joey has with Japanese, I could get fluent, because the base level is there.
Yeah.
I just feel like I want my kid to have the same upbringing as me, where I feel like the reason I have such a big attachment to Thailand, even though I didn't actually grow up there, is because I can speak Thai. And I think just knowing the language is such a big barrier of entry of just appreciating a culture, just appreciating your heritage, right?
Yeah.
And I think if you don't know the language, you have to work way harder to appreciate going to this country and being like, oh, this is where my parents are from.
So that's a really interesting point you raised there, because again, this happens again with dying languages.
Yeah.
What about like Wales or other countries in Europe where there are languages that are, obviously English or another language is taken over, but there was a language before, which was the one that's connected to everything cultural and historical.
Yeah.
Are you then, if you're not, let's say, because there are a lot of people in like Wales and Scotland and Ireland, for example, who are raised generations and generations of Irish, Scottish, or Welsh, who are raised in their country, and none of them ever spoke the language of that
the
country.
original language. Yeah.
How would you argue that would affect then your understanding of the country's culture in a sense?
Well, I think that if you have this base level understanding of a language, even if it's dying out, how much of Welsh culture do you think you understand more because you understand Welsh, right? I mean, playing things like Elden Ring and shit like that, seeing just little pieces of Welsh like names and Welsh culture everywhere. I mean, that's a cool feeling, right?
Yeah. I would say it's, you can't ever be like someone who's generations of families raised in a country doesn't speak language. They don't really understand it.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah, I know that. I know that's what you're saying.
At the end of the day, I think like it's just like if you're interested in it, regardless of how useful it is, then and you have an appreciation towards it. I don't think there's any demerit in trying to learn it, especially at a young age when your brain is just a sponge that can ingest anything. It's like you might not necessarily get, say, in the case with Welsh, for instance, you might not necessarily get a full-on understanding of the culture surrounding it and anything. But at the end of the day, you can still say it's a cool party trick. At least, at the end of the day, you can still say like, I can speak Welsh. I know that
a party trick.
No, but
how do you say fucking Welsh?
Yeah, I feel though. When it comes to a dying language, right?
Yeah.
I still think it's a cool. Like, I would be impressed at anyone who knows how to fucking speak a dying language.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's just cool. And it's like, and I feel regardless of how useful that language ends up becoming, you just naturally grow more of an appreciation towards language, towards culture, towards linguistics of any country.
Yeah.
I also, another fun point, well, not fun point, or a fun question. Let's say there's an American historian who wants to learn about Welsh culture or, say, Thai culture.
Yeah.
If you've never lived or grown up in a country, can you get as good, if not a better understanding of a country's culture through studying and reading and whatnot? Because I'm sure there are a bunch of people who are not from Thailand or not from Wales, not from Australia, who've studied it way more than we ever even have considered it.
Yeah.
Who probably have a deeper historical, cultural understanding of your country than you do.
Yeah.
They might have a deeper historical understanding, but they may not necessarily have a deeper modern understanding of it.
Yeah, I was modern wise, but then you could argue that some countries lose a lot of their cultural values in the modern world. So it's weird because I thought about this and I was thinking, well, I have this very specific understanding of my culture, but it only goes so far, and I'm wondering how biased is that? Like based on the area I grew up or the people I interacted with.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, this culture's like this for sure, but then someone else from the other side of the country might have had a completely different experience of the culture.
Yeah.
And I always wonder about that kind of stuff, and I'm like, oh man, this is like such a... So then it makes me just think, what is the fucking point of even arguing about who knows more about a culture or what experience is right about a culture? It's like I feel like almost on
it is
another
a dumb
level.
argument.
I mean, case, there is no right experience.
No,
about
I
culture,
know, but it's
you
like
know.
it's you. I found that with sometimes people would get in arguments about what is the correct thing of X culture.
Yeah.
And I always found it interesting where it's like, yeah, you have to recognize that culture is also biased.
Oh, absolutely.
It is.
Culture is even historical accounts of culture are somewhat biased.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like, it's just such a worm's nest of, and then this all comes back to the whole point, the initial thing I brought up of people being like, you don't know the culture. And it's like, well, it's like, no, you've had your experience with the culture.
Yeah.
This is such a whole rabbit's nest. And it all came from this one comment that pissed me off. I saw this one comment and it pissed me off because I was like, fuck you. That was someone argued. He was like, well, I don't think Connor's Welsh because he left the moment he could and his dad is English. So fuck him. He's not Welsh. And it's like, well, fuck you. I grew up in the country for 19 years. I speak the language. My mum is Welsh, but I don't even think I need Welsh parents to be Welsh. If I'm born in a country and I'm raised there and I speak the goddamn language, I think you're that country. You're like,
yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about? And it's like, did this dude just wake up today and just feel like he wanted to feel better than me for some reason?
I am the
Fuck
alpha
you.
Welsh.
Fuck you.
You are merely the beta
And
Welsh.
then I'm like, do you have to stay in a country to be like, the moment you leave America, if you've lived there for 20 years, you're not American anymore? Are you fucking stupid?
No, that's
No.
that's dumb as fuck.
Imagine wanting to then broaden your horizons and experience another world.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah,
course-
God forbid you want to experience another culture.
Yeah, I mean, not all culture will stay the same. Our experiences are going to change. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you go back to England and the Tesco meal deal is no longer the price it was. You're just like, okay, I was talking shit on trash taste. Okay, it's not as cheap as anymore. It's not as cheap as anymore. Okay, but I mean, in terms,
Inflation.
yeah, but like, I think especially in terms of like understanding culture, it's when you have you found that when you go back to your home country or a place you haven't visited for a long time, your personality also like subtly shifts to what it was like before you moved out.
Oh, it doesn't even subtly shifts. It like full on shifts. Like people were telling me, my sister was telling me while I was in Australia for like the past 2.5 weeks, that every other day that she saw me, she was like, your accent's getting thicker again.
Yeah.
And I was like, is it? Because to me, it just sounds like the same.
I noticed my accent getting like my British accent like getting way thicker just going back to the UK.
The frequency of in it was definitely increasing.
Mine went way more American. I feel like I got more American.
Oh, no,
really?
yeah, you definitely did.
Yeah, I was definitely getting more
did.
American.
In America?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I mean you're 100%. You're influenced by the people
around
you're
you.
surrounding with, regardless of which country you're in.
Well, it was like that. There was a study I think they did in the one of the stations where they fucking Antarctica. What are those remote fuck places where there's snow?
Antarctica.
What are the fucking places?
Antarctica, Iceland.
I don't know. There's so goddamn many of them.
Greenland.
They did a study
Canada.
because obviously a lot of the times they're scientists from different countries all shoved into one place, and I can't remember where it was.
Probably Antarctica.
This is very anecdotal. Don't take this as in like all different countries. And I think after weeks of them all staying together, like one of the accents became like the more dominant, and a lot of the other accents were starting to kind of shift towards, I think it was German in this study. People slowly started becoming towards like a more German accent, weirdly. You'd think maybe it'd be American or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just kind of interesting.
Clearly the German guy spoke the most.
Well, maybe. It's just like you are 100% influenced by accents around you.
Oh, absolutely.
And your accent will change.
Yeah.
Depending on where you're staying. And it's not like how dare you, you've forgotten your home accent, Connor, you fuck. It's like, no, it's just
how it is.
That's how human brain works.
Everyone works that way.
We want to copy because we're animals and we're social animals and we're designed by fucking Darwin, I guess. He decided it all. That we're going to fit it.
Thank God Darwin invented humans.
The Darwin patch notes.
That's what makes us herbivores. If we were alphas, we would remain true to ourselves.
You know why we're herbivores and betas is because we need other people's validation.
Yeah,
so that's why.
Wait, do I sound okay? Do I sound okay now?
Our whole brain is designed that we need to fit in. We got to fit in. Yeah. That's why Sigmas exist, like me, who don't want to fit in.
Nah, man.
Take my course right now, $100.
This is what we call a herbivore in denial.
No,
I'm cripplingly in need of everyone's attention. I am not a Sigma.
Do you know one of the stupidest fucking one of the stupidest trends that this whole alpha movement of like how to tell?
Did you go to AlphaCon?
I didn't go to AlphaCon.
Is that a real thing?
But one thing I've
Yeah.
yeah, it
It's
is
as
a
bad
thing,
as you
is a
think
thing.
it is.
Yeah,
The post is just like a bunch of white dudes.
I can't remember who told me about AlphaCon. I don't think it was you.
Hold
I
on,
think
let
it
me
was
look
I
up
told you.
Did you tell me about it?
Okay.
Okay.
You should look at the poster for it. It's
Yeah,
very
I'll
funny.
look at the poster for it. Hold on.
Yeah, it's when you look at photos and you see a girl and a guy, and there are like people that are breaking down the angle that the
I
guy's
love these things.
the
I love-
angle that
it's
the
like-
guy's leaning in.
It's like if you lean in, you're the beta. Yeah. Oh yeah, look at this photo.
No fucking way, this is real.
Yeah, that's real.
What the fuck? AlphaCon 2022. Be great or be nothing. What a fucking tagline.
Yeah, that's just
Holy
like men in denial, the convention. Just
Yeah.
admit that you're pathetic and your life is a joke.
This is just macho insecurity, the
No, it
convention.
is. It was like a scam. As
Oh
well.
my god.
Yeah, I love that angle thing.
Yeah,
where it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
the beta leans in. the woman better lean into the man, or the
Yeah.
man's a beta.
I've literally
God.
like sometimes like a random picture will show up on my timeline of just a guy, and you see like the angles, like it's a red line of the guy being like, okay, he's standing up. He should be standing up in an upright position, but he's at a
He's leaning into
80-degree
the
angle,
The woman is not bending. He's
Yeah.
bending to the woman. He's a beta.
and I'm like, maybe the guy,
Why would they not just change this to misogynist?
and I'm just like, maybe the guy's just tall. I don't know.
maybe he's tired. I don't know. Like, he just needs some support. Like,
There's a beta guy. He's a beta.
Okay, I get it. I
He's a
get it.
beta.
alphas don't get tired. They just don't. Oh my god, I can't believe that's real.